Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to another episode of the Eve 30-Day Challenge. I just want to talk about day one, kind of a wrap-up of that. I have got everyone, including their mother, here with me in TeamSpeak. Sorry I don't have cameras for y'all, so you guys just have to, deal with watching my skills countdown and whatnot, or maybe even, let's see here, since it seems to be that my bounty keeps going up, and let's see if my bank account goes up anymore. My bank account is at $1,088,000,000, and so if we can sit and watch and see if that goes up while we're doing this. Give it up something for everybody to look at. So, okay, guys. Let's see here. Let's see, who all is here? Looks like Brian's not joining us. Maybe he had to go. Maybe it's getting a little bit late for him.
He had housekeeping to do.
Housekeeping. Is that like chores?
Sure.
No, it's wife aggro.
Wife aggro. Oh, goodness, yes. So, let's see here. What, how many of you here are brand new, that this is like one of your first days playing?
Me.
William C.
I'm new.
Skyline.
This is my first week.
Tyler. Okay, first week I think qualifies.
I got a few days in.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 4 days with me.
Okay. So, out of you guys that are here, did you guys get to join us on going out and fighting things, or were you still stuck in training? Where'd you end up?
I got to go out and fight with y'all guys during the mission. That was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, and so, I wanted to go out and get some action right away, even though I don't, I just got another 10 million. Sorry, I'm easily distracted. So even though I knew that I didn't know enough to be competent at going out and doing battle, I wanted to get some action. I wanted to really just dive head first and wanted to see whether or not, just what would happen. Just going with some abandon. So did you? Let's see here. Have you guys felt like you made progress today?
I felt like I did something that I've never done before.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first look at actual combat.
Mm-hmm. Did you find the combat to be boring or exciting?
Well, when I got to combat, it was exciting. But it's kind of, for us, we don't have everything skilled up, so we're not as fast as the other ships.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when we got there, it was fun. You can see you actually doing damage and stuff like that. And the reward was really great. So, all in all, it was worth it.
Now, did you guys... Okay, so I see... actually, it looks like from our stuff I'm looking here, for killing the pirates, I got... It looks like around 800 and some odd thousand ISK.
Yeah, the bounty price?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we had to give some of that back up to the Corp. But, I guess that's the corporate tax is 8%.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what pays for corp fees and stuff.
Yeah. So it was... that actually, I think, is not a bad amount of money for your first day.
Not at all.
That's
a lot.
about a single run an adventure, which is the starting mining ship that you get if you do the mining mission. You can get about that much for a full hold.
Mm-hmm. But how long does that take in that one? Have you done that one?
20, maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, that's not
An
bad.
hour. An hour if you're a noob.
Oh, sorry, I was meaning just to mine and fill up the hold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to do the quest, yeah, probably about an hour.
Yeah, okay. So, it,
Marky, Sorry, my OCD is acting up right now, and I see your training queue kind of empty right now.
Yeah, well, no, I will be doing something else with it before it has everything done. So I still have over 2 hours. So I'll be working on it. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
guys.
Yeah. So
What I want to say is you should train engineering to 4, electronics to 4, so you can fit the power stuff and electronic stuff easier.
Yeah, them are the base skills for a lot of stuff.
okay, made
Don't
notes.
forget mechanic 4.
I recommend that.
Yeah, mechanics too.
And electronics to start with.
Good thing
And then you train all the
pretty decent now.
the base like skills that you require to at least level 4. They're already given to you, like mechanics, electronics, engineering. All the other ones that I call the support skills, if you will. Like you have for gunnery, but you also have for like shield operation, shield compensation, all that stuff. Train to 3 as a base. If you're gonna go shield, if you're gonna go armor, train the armor stuff, then train the shield stuff after.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at the certificates there, as I said earlier. Look at the core competency certificates, and it'll show you what you can train to fit things better so that you fly
Right.
better.
Right.
I guess that was all stemming from people like to have their training queue up to at least 24 hours, so that way, worst comes to worst, and your internet drops out, or you got a power cut, you're not wasting a day of training.
Well, true. I just haven't had time yet. So, and I want to research a little bit about which actual things I'm going to do next. So, and I have plenty of time. Don't worry, guys. So, from those of you who are the experienced players that are in here with us, what did how do you feel today went? Was this a normal newbie experience? I mean, minus the war, the money coming in, and the bounty, is because I know those are all out of scope. But is this what a new player can expect to have happen if they come in, get into the game, and get working with the Corp, taken under their wing, and go out and do stuff like this?
Most
Yeah,
of the
but
time,
it was a bit
yes.
disorganized.
Yeah, we were pretty disorganized. We tried our best, but this is pretty relevant to what a newbie player would encounter if they knew people who were in the game and were friends with beforehand, and they were brought into a nice community who would lend them a hand. But it is pretty close to what they would be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
People in the chat are
same,
also saying
but-
that they would tell them to do the tutorials first as well.
And I
Right.
think EVE University doesn't let you join them until you do the tutorials.
It forces you to take 3 tutorials, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I can see that. And I just I didn't create my account until Thursday. I did tutorials for 3 hours or so on Friday, and then today I'm like show's starting. So and I thought about doing all the tutorials on camera, but then I thought about that. I thought that might be very boring as well. So. And I don't want to bore everybody to death, especially in the first few episodes. Who'd watch the rest of them if the first few are boring? So.
It would be very, very fun to sit and watch you trying to figure out for 40 minutes how to jump to a gate or something like that.
Well,
That's not
Look,
very interesting.
I'm gonna tell you this. Like the first time I ever actually did the scan probe tutorial. Okay, you know how all you have to do is undock and then hit your scan, and it'll show you like the signature you're supposed to go to, and then you warp to it. Well, I had no idea what the hell. And I talked to some people, and they're like, "Oh, well, you have to buy this, and you have to buy that, and the other." So I bought scan probes, scanned the thing out after like 35 minutes, trying to figure out which one it was. And honestly, it would have been like instant warp, this, that, and the other, done. And then at the end of it, it gave me the mod and what is it? The scan probe launcher and some scan probes.
skill,
and
I
I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
and I
are.
think it gave you to the skill, which I had to go out, which I went out and bought for this stupid mission that I didn't even need. So yeah, if you have somebody there to like actually help you instead of troll you, it does help a lot.
Funny thing is, they're changing it next expansion.
Well, I can say.
Changing what?
What is it they're changing?
The probing, the mechanic for probing will be changed a lot apparently.
Changing it
I
again?
don't think it's the actual mechanic. It's mostly the UI for it.
Yeah, it's mostly the UI, and
I know that.
don't trust any trolls, Marky. But remember to spin that ship 10,000 times.
Right. I got to get that badge.
I learned exploration and scanning when you had to go warp back and forth between celestial objects and drop bookmarks over and over again. And then they changed it to the easier system that it is now.
Could you do me a favor real quick, Mikey? Are you able to minimize your local chat you've got down there in the bottom right? You've just got people that have from the war deck just trying to troll the stream a little.
What, you don't like their trolling?
They're just bragging about the kill on Prime. That's up to you.
Well, they didn't got his corpse. I'll mail it back to Prime later on.
I don't know.
They killed a one-day-old guy with no tank on his ship. They're so pro at PvP.
So.
But yeah, it's they didn't actually do anything.
Okay, so what? Let's see here. Some of you guys who are experienced, who are veteran players here, as a brand new player, I know I've heard you guys say a few things. You've talked about make sure that your skills are continually, being worked on. Don't let that queue go dry. And then also, trying to give me some guidance in where it is I want to end up being and everything, and to figure out what is best for everything. So what else is it that has been missed that's really important to pay attention to, especially at the beginning, so that I have, continue having fun, so I don't have a lull in it and go, I'm bored of this game and walk off.
If you plan on doing some combat missions, always check if you have any ammo. You will hate yourself.
Yeah.
Unless, of course,
it happens to us all.
Yes.
I was going to say you could laugh, but it happens a hell of a lot.
There was two things that I did when I started, from what I remember, that really helped me. One was really focusing on, especially when I got into the longer missions, that I accepted the mission before I left the station. That used to piss me off to no end.
Unless you're a Mar with lasers.
Getting the Arnon Sisters Epic Arc is a really good way to lock yourself into the game. That is a great next step after the tutorials.
Okay.
Yeah, lasers don't use ammo, so you just use the lenses. You pop them in, you go.
Yeah, and they don't expire. The only thing is you have to watch your cap.
What is your cap?
Your capacitor.
That's the little.
You know the little when you're looking at your HUD, you have your that center circle area that's glowing in gold and yellow or whatever. If you run out of that, which is your capacitor, which is like you said, your energy, you do not have enough energy to shoot your guns, to hit your afterburner, to do anything.
To walk away.
Yeah.
Unless you're using projectile weapons or missile weapons, then you can shoot.
Yeah, you can keep shooting forever.
Basically, anything that uses energy, you have to actually have the energy to use it. If you run out of your energy, you're stuck there with all of the stuff that does not require you to use energy.
Now, I have a question for you guys. I was playing this, I reinstalled last night, everything is fine. Playing just fine. Turn off the computer, come back, I turn it back on, status server tranquility status unknown. What the f?
Was bad connection?
May have been down.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, Eve goes down every day for.
Is
an
it down
hour
right
or
now?
less.
It's 30 minutes. No, it's not down
Is it
now.
That's what I'm having an issue with.
Yeah, sometimes it's glitch. You should still be able to play the game. Like, just hit the play button, you know, log in like you normally would, and it still connects you. It's just the other time it will not actually record the status of it for some reason. I don't know why.
That's usually like 3 or 4 in the morning, my time Pacific.
I keep getting the connection failed, and I'm like, what the f?
So, okay, for this,
You might have to deal with that off stream.
Yeah. So those of you who are new players here, what is like the number one question that you're struggling with right now for the game?
How do I learn to fit?
How do you learn to fit?
That's a huge thing to learn. Fitting.
I'd recommend if you try to fit a ship, if you look at Bell.
I posted a link in chat earlier for Marky to download Evemon, and skills
That's
planner.
not going to help him though when he starts. Like I understand that it's good, but you don't. That's going to be way over the top.
Marky, the number one thing to get somebody to learn to fit is to be in a corp with experienced players, to try fitting up a fit, sharing that fitting with your corp members, and having them tell you how noobish you are and why you should change stuff.
Oh come on, Marky's a smart person. He will understand it.
Don't ever dual tank unless you're a bait boat.
I think there's one thing that is shared constantly across everybody when it comes to fitting, though, that people try to fit shield tanking and armor tanking at the same time. Pick one, especially with your ship type. Like your specific ships have more armor than shield, or more high slots than low slots. Low slots are used for armor tanking, and or medium slots, sorry, and medium slots are used for shield. Low slots are used for armor. Your ship will either have more of one than the other, so it's always best to fit your shield your ship properly to armor or shield.
Here's the bottom line for the new guys. You just need to if you're having trouble doing a mission, share your fit with a corp mate and ask for help. That's about the only thing that's going to help a brand new person figure this out. It's just too much data.
Yeah. You also have to remember that when you're running missions, it's a little different than actually fitting to go into a fight. So you don't want to be running into a mission and then going and I'm going to go over there to the next system over for a friend of mine who's crying out for help, because your tank is not going to be set up for Omni tank, which is for all the 4 different resistances. You're going to be, when you go for missions, you tend to go for the tank against the particular rats or NPC non-player characters that you'll be shooting at.
Okay, so
say him about Eve's survival.
Let Marky
that
talk.
Will save his life.
Yeah. So actually, the question was, of the noobs here, what was the major thing on your mind? And I'm thinking single noob spoke.
Well, I think that the first guy who spoke about fitting was the noob.
Well, he was one of the guys giving me money, so you can't be that new.
I got a lot of money from one of my friends. I've had this character since 2007, but I'm really, really bad at the game. Like, I've been learning just as much as you, like targeting and stuff like that.
Okay. I assumed that you weren't a noob based on the money you were sending me. So, okay, for other new players here, what's something else you've been struggling with?
I was just wondering where like skill books come from.
Good question.
Most of them are sealed by NPC, by CCP. Some of them are in the loyalty. You buy them with loyalty points.
What are loyalty points?
You gain
missions.
standing. You do missions, you gain standing. The higher the
They're
mission.
essentially a reward for completing missions that will allow you to buy special faction items, dependent on which faction you have the loyalty points with.
Okay.
So they sort of touched on the subject where CCP provides most things in EVE are made by players. Skill books are generally from CCP, the people that made the game, they're sort of like the spawn and stuff. 99% of the skill books that you're ever going to need, you are either going to get on the marketplace or from doing your starter missions.
Okay. So, and I noticed I got a few skill books just on my own from doing tutorial stuff, and then I got several skill books. I don't know, 6 or 8 of them from doing the Minotaur starter pack. So,
Well, one thing that's helped me out in the past too is just one day go into the market and go into the skill books and just read all the skill books and what they do, and then get an idea of what is available to do.
I think I was mentioning this earlier, but I think since looking at the Twitch, that this be a good time to teach everybody how to block. So whenever somebody tries to contact you in game,
yes, I need to know that.
I can tell you the auto reactive.
Okay, so how do I block somebody while I'm playing the game, or how do I stop people from sending me invitations when I'm busy?
You can block all by pressing escape to bring up the sort of the menu.
Okay.
And then going over to general settings, I think it was.
Okay.
No, audio and chat, sorry.
No,
audio and chat. And then auto reject invitations on the right hand side underneath chat.
Okay. And then we're done. So.
Easy as that.
Okay, and here, speaking of trolls, let's see.
Hey, while we're at it, let's also set up how to turn off the CSPA charge.
The what charge?
Whenever someone tries to open a conversation with you, they have to pay a certain charge.
It's a basically a ISK bleeding feature that just annoys every CEO. This is for me, please.
They put it in order to have an anti-spam feature for gold or ISK seller stuff.
Okay.
So open up your mail.
Okay.
And in the top left corner, there's those 4 little E bars. Right click that, go to settings.
Okay.
And the charge that says $29.50, turn it to 0, but don't change anything else.
Oh, that's I see. Okay.
You can set that to anything. I set mine to like 10 million or something once, and someone actually paid it.
It doesn't actually go to you, it goes to CCP, so it's just an ISK sucking drain.
I see. And I can see what it's for, too. If there's no cost, there's no, there's no deterrent. So.
It makes it hard on the CEO, though, because I have to communicate everybody, and every time I click that button to communicate, everybody, I have to pay that fee to everyone.
Oh, you're just cheap.
Isn't that part of what the 8% would go to?
No, it comes out of my personal wallet.
I see.
I think you could add your own corp as a contact, like +10, and it shouldn't force you to pay the time. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah.
Anyway, about Marky.
Hey, so any of you other new guys here, what have you run into today that you have not been able to figure out? Looks like we all know what we're doing then.
Unless it was how to talk on TeamSpeak.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did we hear crickets in the background there?
Yes. I need a crickets button. So
I have one.
Okay.
What's a good newbie ship to buy?
Oh yeah, good question.
Carico.
Rifter.
Now that I have all this, money, of course, because I get half of Marcus's money.
It really depends on what you're going to be training for.
Generally, a cruiser is a good goal to aim for in the 30 days. I would aim for whatever race cruiser you wanted to fly. Seeing as how we are primarily Galente or Minmatar, the Stabber is a really good Minmatar cruiser, as well as the Vexor.
I will say, though, that Minmatar ships tend to be higher skill point intensive to fly well in comparison to some of the other races.
Agreed, absolutely.
Yeah. The other
At
thing
least
that
the
I would
artilleries.
personally recommend going for the Drake, because it can have such high passive shield tanking, so you don't need to be activating systems. It just tanks, which allows you to run missions quite easily, albeit a little bit slower. It's just a really easy ship to fly, and the Caracal is the T1 version of that.
Are these,
Yeah.
are these in the standard cruiser section or?
Standard.
The
Drake
Drake is a
would be
battle
a
cruiser.
battle
Now
cruiser.
the battle cruisers are a little bit higher skill point requirement, but they are very powerful. They're basically the next step up from a cruiser, like the level 3 ship.
Prime.
I want to make a differentiation between, he said the Vexor and the Stabber. The Vexor is a drone ship, so you'll need to train drone skills for that.
I think the Caracal is a good option, right? It's a cruiser.
Yeah, that's what I started
Absolutely.
with. It's really easy to armor tank. You can do it all passive, so that you don't need to activate anything.
What
You know, we're
Watch it. Red.
what are okay? So as a noob, we don't even know why a ship is good or whatnot. But just as a kind of an overview, I mean, as far as I can tell right now, there is ships for war, and there are ships for mining. Are those the only two? Are those two classes it, or is there more than that?
I mean, you got mission ships,
What?
PvP ships.
Okay.
Exploration ships.
Mining ships. Transport
Yeah,
ships.
logistics.
Exploration ships.
Recon ships.
The ships will have a description.
Okay,
of kind
guys,
of
you're probably
what
going to
they're-
have to explain what each of those are. Basically,
Well, no.
Explanation.
So we've got half a dozen different types of ships or whatever. Okay. I was just trying to get a scope on it, to
Well,
just.
Well, okay. What I was
Let me touch base here for a second. So if you went through the tutorial stuff, that would kind of give you an exposure into each of these different categories or careers within EVE.
Okay.
So you'll get a better idea of that process through the ships. So we're kind of jumping way ahead. You really want to kind of get into it, run a few missions like you ran, except the mission you ran was a level 4 mission. And of course, after you get done with your tutorials, you'd be starting with level 1 missions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the next question to be answered is, what size ship should I be getting into? And if you're going to be running level 1 missions, you want to kind of be in frigates. Level 2 missions, you start moving into cruisers. But to be thinking about battle cruisers and battleships, that's kind of 30 to 60 days out from here. So that's way beyond the scope of even this 30-day challenge.
Okay.
I would like to point out that just because you can technically fly a ship doesn't mean you should. I lost my first 2 Ravens, which are a battleship class. I lost them in missions because I could fly the ship, but I couldn't fit a tank because I didn't have the skills.
I'd like to point out that Mint Chip has a video that she was in someone's video, and she posted on her YouTube, where they all created characters with only 2 weeks of training. They went all in thoraxes, which are the Galenti blaster boat cruisers, and they went to Nullsec and did a lot of destruction.
So it didn't. So you're saying that they were able to be effective even as newer characters?
Yeah, what they did was they all have their tackle and their warp disruptors.
You can need to explain what that is, possibly, with you
all-
using words like tackle.
Well, he already knows by now. I mean, he had it. You explained it to him earlier, but they all used like rep drones and damage drones on each other because they can all hold like 3 or 4 drones per ship. So they were all repping each other and doing damage to whatever they were fighting.
Yeah, but that's only if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure at the end of 2 weeks that I'll know what I'm doing.
To go to the question that Marky asked a few minutes ago.
Well, that was based
you
upon
have-
the skills that you could get in 2 weeks.
Marky, I will make it my job to make sure you know what you're doing by 30 days.
I've
Yeah,
been
me
playing
too.
for about 6 months and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Don't trust that guy. He will send you off mining.
No,
Or
but
ship
Mark-
spinning.
go
Marky's got a
to,
billion, he
what
doesn't
Mark
need to
had
mine
asked
anymore.
a few minutes ago,
Don't bullet ship spinning.
where he was asking about, what particular kinds of ships you have. You actually have a lot of different ships that can be used for a lot of different things. Just depends on what it is you want to do. A ship that can be used for PvP can also be used for PvE, or even mining or remote rep. It just depends on how you use it, what your skill base is. You have a wide variety of things. It's not like you have this particular armor and this particular sword that will do this particular damage.
But the bonuses on the ship will kind of dictate what you would want to do with it, though.
Let me
For the most part.
Let me move on to a little bit different subject here. I noticed that in my account, it looks like I have 3 character slots. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and so should I be training up 2 other characters right now as well?
No, you can only
You
train
cannot.
one character per account.
You can only train one character at a time. It's just like when you're on WoW or something else. You can only gain experience while using that one character.
That's not really the best assumption. Your skills, it can only be trained through one account. If you have 2 other accounts, they can be trained, but it can only be if your main account and your other account do not have skills in. The World of Warcraft thing, you could be training, you can have to log in, but the skills work that you can log offline, all that stuff.
So why do
saying
I even have 2 other character slots?
Well, I use one of mine for trading.
Okay.
You can have
I use one of mine for scamming.
I have sign art and market tools. That just for looking and writing signals, and really don't need more experience. Just it's for really specialized tools that you use, like
That
checking
or,
markets and.
But if I wanted
or
to
a holding
say,
account, if you will.
if I wanted to say have one character that was really hardcore PvP and they focused on that, and then another character that was very much focused on mining and being the absolute best miner possible, I would need to have 2 accounts, 2 separate accounts then to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, only if you want to do skills training at the same time.
You
Okay.
can have both the characters separated from each other, but you can't train them both at the same time.
Right.
Unless you have
One
one
thing
account.
that we're skipping over as well is the fact that you can also, which is a totally different way of topic, is being able to buy characters from other players that already have a certain amount of skill points.
Do those get really expensive?
Yeah, they do.
Even you right now can't buy one decent one.
You're probably looking at 15 billion per character, which is quite a bit.
Wow.
And if they're properly trained, they can go up to 30-40 billion, or even more.
If you train up for one specific ship that is completely dedicated to that one role, they can get very, very expensive, especially when you look at super capital pilots.
Let alone command ship pilots. Their implants can go through the roof.
Okay, well...
The main thing is deciding on what you want to do. I mean, and that's probably the hardest part as well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I'll know that within 30 days of play. I think back to when I did like Ultima Online, and it was something brand new. I'd never done it before. I didn't know, what I was doing or whatnot. I didn't necessarily. With Ultima Online, I was able to rework my character, drop some skills, add some others. But I think I did that like probably 2 or 3 times before I settled on what felt right. And
I kind of did that. I am trained in like all 4 races because I couldn't decide. So yeah, it kind of happened, but I lost a lot of time because I didn't specialize.
But there's nothing stopping you training up multiple things.
No, of course.
I honestly recommend that you stick with the one race until you know what you're doing, because if you start cross-training, oh, I want to fly that ship over there, I want to do this ship over here, you're not going to have either the gunnery skills or the missile skills required to fly that ship if you're training a completely different race. Like, say if you're flying Minmatar, right?
Mhm.
You can put blasters on a Minmatar boat, but it's not going to get bonuses to it, so you don't want to do that. There's a few exemptions that you can get into later on, where you would put a different race's guns on a certain boat, because either it's a drone boat where your main DPS is from your drones, and you don't want to use blasters like, say, a Myrmidon, which is a battle cruiser. I've seen a lot of people put autocannons on it because autocannons don't use capacitor. But that's a whole different ballgame.
And there is
Marky,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put a link in the chat. This is a large list image of what to do in Eve, and that's like pretty much covers the basic everything that you can do in there that most people have thought of.
Yeah, that was the thing I first saw when I started playing.
Yeah, it's a good start.
It's a good starting point.
Does anyone have that list that shows the learning curve of most MMOs and what Eve looks like?
It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
linked.
Yeah, we've done it a few times. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting. I can't even fit the whole thing on my monitor here.
I've never seen that before. Can I get a copy of that?
You just go to Google and search for Eve professions in the images, and you can find different sizes. But that one is the clear one. The other ones are kind of hard to read.
It's kind of like twice 1080p.
Can I just put it in the lobby chat link?
Yeah. So okay. Well, maybe this. So you're saying this is a good guide to look at to kind of figure out which route I'd want to go.
Yeah, you can be a hauler. You can take hauling contracts, and like people want to have something delivered to another station, you go pick it up and they drop it off, and they give you ISK per jump. You can be, a station trader sitting and now you've got over 1 billion ISK. You can definitely be a station trader now.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? I need a little bit more experience, though, to know whether or not I'm making a good deal.
Yeah, you'd have to train up the station trading skills, though, so you can trade a number of jumps from the station you're at, buy from a station a certain number of jumps away, and so forth.
But the bad thing with that is that does not make for very fun videos if you just putting out buy or doesn't sell or doesn't.
Right.
I think it's really bad videos.
If I'm going to be
station all day just playing with the market.
There is a difference between playing for what you really like and playing for the sake of being able to make some entertainment. And
It would be informational.
Well, maybe. Oh my God! I just made another 10% on my 1 billion ISK.
Well, people
my
do that.
recommendation
They make a lot of
would
money
be to
when they know what they're
look
doing.
into the mission running, because you can use a ship that you start using for missions for PvP perfectly fine. Harvesting type stuff is relatively boring, and you've got a lot of money to start with anyway, so you don't really need to worry about doing that too much. So I would be looking at starting to do level 1 missions, maybe finish the tutorial stuff first, and then as you're training your ship up for that, you can use that same ship to do PvP stuff with the Corp as well.
Yeah, I think because I've seen you play War C and things like that, I think you will enjoy the PvP a lot. Small roaming gang PvPs and
right.
I think from what I've seen from you, I think you will find that very, very interesting. And with the live streaming, you can get really fun and interesting combats really quickly, and therefore make also good videos.
I like to point out, people are saying in chat, they're complaining about who said you can use a mission ship for PvP. Better to say there are different fittings for PvP versus a mission.
You can use the same hull, but not the same fit.
Yeah. Like,
Well,
you don't go in
can.
passive.
It's not going to be optimal, but you can.
You don't go in a passive buffer. What am I saying? Not passive buffer, but passive shield recharge cane in for PvP. You know, with no point. I mean warp disruptor or warp scrambler, and expect to come out on top, because if you're fit that way, you're probably not going to have neutralized zone, which is definitely something you want to have on a hurricane if you're going to go into PvP.
Okay, well, I think that's getting beyond kind of the scope of how noobish many of us are. So at this point, we're just trying to figure out maybe how to survive.
I want to tell you, don't make this newbie mistake. Don't put on. I'm drawing a blank here. You know the anti-warp things in the lows. Someone help me out.
Warp core
stabilizers.
Yeah, you get a lot of noobs put those in there, and they don't realize it shortens your locking range and it increases your lock time, and they don't understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
can we just name off all the common noob traps, please?
Also, if someone targets you and starts shooting you, you immediately target them and start shooting them. You don't just stand there going, wait, am I getting shot at?
Unless you're gonna burn back the gate.
Unless you're gonna do that, but you gotta also kind of figure, okay, am I getting webbed? Am I getting scrammed? Do I actually have the time? And you have to think quick.
What's going on and what do I need to do?
Well, I think that may be the first thing that I learned how to do is, oh shit, I'm getting shot. How do I jump out of here?
That's good reaction.
You won't have time to.
I won't have
you
time
won't
to.
have time to. No, I got killed yesterday, and it happens within 4 seconds. For us newbies, you can't do shit about it. I mean, if they get you, and they'll follow you too the whole way, and they'll make you jump, and they'll catch you, and then they'll kill you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to figure out that stuff about how to better fight back. So,
if you
as
ever
a
get in
newbie here, can I ask a noob question about shields?
Yes.
No.
Please
go
do.
for it. Yes.
What is the most common damage source I'm going to encounter?
There's no good answer.
Nah.
Because there's like the 4, right? There's kinetic, explosive, and thermal, and EM or whatever.
Well, if you're running into Drakes, you're probably going to run into a lot of kinetic damage. Or at least you used to. I think they're changing that. I'm not sure.
They're not changed.
They're not changing. Okay. If you're running into no, they're changing that for the fleet Drake or whatever. If they're even going to come out with that thing. Anyways, you're going to run into in PvP. You're probably going to run into a little bit of everything. A good pilot's going to have a broad spectrum of faction damage. If you're running into somebody that's flying a Galente ship, you're pretty much going to be dealing with thermal and kinetic. Somebody that's in a Namar ship, it's going to be pretty much thermal and EMP. If you're running into somebody with missiles, you are probably not going to know what you're going to run into. Most likely you're going to have EMP, thermal, and maybe explosive, or kinetic as well. Same thing with Minmatar. With Minmatar, and I'm a Minmatar pilot, I tend to carry a little bit of everything, because you never know exactly what damage is going to do the best damage. Usually I carry Republic Fleet Plasma, EMP, and then I'll carry, what do you call it? Barrage and Hail. Barrage and Hail are Tech 2 ammunition that do both thermal and not thermal, sorry, kinetic and explosive damage.
Basically what you want to do, each ship has a type of resistance. You want to plug the holes in the resistances that you aren't very good at for that type of ship.
And for shields, EM is the big hole, then thermal, then kinetic, then explosive, and it's the other way around for armor.
Is it worth stacking one over the others, like just so you're really good at that one, and if they happen to have that type of damage, then you're going to be really stacked against
Generally,
it?
the more modules you have of one type, the less effective they become.
That's actually what you would do for missions, not for
Yeah,
PvP.
you need to find online Eve mission guide. That tells you the name of the mission, and it tells you the damage that the NPCs are dealing. And when doing missions, then you stack up the resist of the damage that they usually deal 1 or 2 types of damage, and then you try to stack them as high as you can.
There's a website called Battle Clinic. It has tons of fits for anything, every ship, and any kind of situation you could imagine. And you can find the popular fits of the day. And I'll link I'll link it when I get it. Second.
Also, UniWiki has a lot of good fits.
Yeah, you just need to be sure when looking at these sites that the fits are not outdated, that the ships haven't been changed, so that you don't spend money buying modules that you cannot actually fit onto the ships. Like with the battle cruisers, if you look at, for example, Cyclone fits, which is a Minmatar battle cruiser, you find a lot of fits with autocannons, but they recently changed it to a missile ship. So you need to know a little bit more so you need to know a little bit to be able to distinguish what fits are usable and what fits are unusable in these sites, because they have lots of obsolete and also bad fits.
Yeah, definitely.
They have
just ask in Corp. Ask in Corp. People can. Most of us have tons of fits that we have saved for almost everything, and we can also put together fits for you, the experienced players.
Another good way of finding fits that you might not think about otherwise is actually going to, like, Battle Clinic or Eve Kill or one of those kill boards, and going into, like, just finding an alliance that or a lot of the nullsec or 0-0 battles tend to have good fits in there. As far as mind you, if you're looking at riding boats, it's a complete different story though.
Okay, well, I think that that this here is probably about our time limit for this episode, and
there's only one question. You still haven't told us how your feeling of this is, and do you think after this first day, do you think you're gonna be able to pull through more than these 30 days after this single day? How it looks for you now?
The game as it is right now, I think that I have a lot more to learn to really make that determination. And there's going to be two deals with me. One, the primary thing is whether or not I'm having any fun. So far, I'm having fun. And do I like all of this building and the skills and everything? I can tell you that the number one thing that I like with playing any MMO is character development. And I think that this is pretty. There's like two things that are your characters here. You've got your ship and you've got your person, and so I think that this game is pretty hardcore in character development, and then going out and using, what you've learned, both with your ship, configurations and everything, and with your character skills. And so, will I continue on after the 30 days? Well, the answer is yes. How far beyond that? I'm not sure. It just all depends. And so, it's really hard for me to answer. But so far, I like what I see, and I want to learn a lot more. And that's the number one thing. If I feel like I figured it all out and everything, when you beat the last level in a, let's say you're playing Angry Birds or whatever. I think we can all relate to that game. We know what it is. When you've beaten the last level, is it fun to still go back and try and beat it again, go through all of them? And the answer is that it's a really fun game, and you may go through and beat the whole thing again, but are you going to keep going on longer than that? And the answer is I'm not sure that most people would. But with this, it's different because all of these things keep changing and everything, and you get to keep working at it. And as long as I don't feel like the work that I've done is in vain, I probably will continue. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Well, keep in mind that I think they said it would take like something along the lines of 20 years to train every skill that they have currently to 5?
15.
15. Sorry.
And they have been adding more skills.
Right.
So keeping that in mind, it's not the end of the world if you waste a day's training something you decide you're not going to use later.
Well, I actually think about it, you know, that I need to be very, very specialized, and I don't know, you know, right now I got a little bit of everything going on with my character. I mean, it's all just the basics, and it's not a whole lot of time spent in its training and everything. But as I get further down the road, you know, I may end up having multiple accounts, because I could totally see, you know, another account that all the skills are really geared toward whatever specific thing I'm doing, whether that's mining or whatever. You know, probably my Marky Dragon character probably is going to be more of a PvP, you know, character. But I'm very interested in merchant stuff. I'm very interested in, you know, resource mining and everything, especially resource mining when it comes to like multi-boxing and everything.
You could do that.
In the big picture, Marky, I don't think you can even contemplate wasting any potential skill time training in your first 30 days. You're really not going to waste anything that you do in the first 30 days. Almost everything that you need or use, you're going to use throughout your career.
Okay.
And there's really no wasting it if the skill level is below 3. It's once you start going above that where it's actually taking any significant amount of time. Everything else is fairly quick, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what I was just picking the low-hanging fruit at the moment, and that's how I was kind of looking at things. So.
Yeah, it really doesn't. It doesn't.
We lost him there.
And as with having multiple accounts, I have my combat main has over 100 million skill points in combat, and yeah, no industry skills. Then I have another character that is, I think, 98 million skill points. This has almost absolutely no combat whatsoever, only industry and things like that. So you see, you have enormous amount of skills you can train on each category, and to make a character really specialized and good takes years to train it up. So even though you get bored with the game, you just keep training until you want to play again in 3 months. And
Right. Yeah, that's another thing I thought of. And with having 1.1 billion ISK, I can probably fund my account with Plex for a while.
As much as I hate socialist tendencies, can you share the wealth, please? You know?
You know, with that much, you can get +3 implants for all your attributes and shorten your training time.
Yeah,
Oh.
plus 4, the standard ones.
You can
better.
+4 standards are 129 mil overall, I thought.
Yes, but it's totally worth it, especially if you have the money for it.
And with the war deck out, they will get ganked and lose
He
more.
will get ganked.
Yeah, that's why I say
I wouldn't. Okay, if you have your attributes, well, one of the first things that you should learn when you're in here is that what you're going to do is you're going to train for a certain set of skills first, whether it be for tank and say electronics engineering and all that kind of stuff, or if it's going to be gunnery and ships. You want to do that for a certain amount of time. They give you, I think, two remaps to begin with, so you can do, you know, one or the other first. You know, say for like the first month you would train your ships and gunnery or missiles.
You're gonna have to explain the attribute system there.
Okay.
No, not right now. I think we're done with this episode, really.
Yeah.
So we're about 10 minutes over where I wanted to take it to anyway. So that will be. There's going to be more chances here. So I think that's it for this episode. Those of you who are watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Those of you watching on YouTube, well, into this episode, you just have to wait for the next. And guys, I'll be right back in just a minute.